Okay, let's get started. So, um, we are going to take some work I did on some dependency injection stuff and merge it into kind of my ongoing process to build like an image or photo or data archiving system for my um, for my pictures and files and stuff. So I'm not carrying around duplicates, and I have things that are more conducive to long-term storage. Okay, so I've got and new window. Okay, so basically I am going to, in this project, create a new directory, and this is going to house my dependency injection code. So let's call this DI. Actually, let's call this Reflex. I like that name better. So go mod init, get.com. Okay. All right, and let's go to, let's go ahead and add that file to Git. Let's go ahead. And what do we want to take out of here? Well, so we want this, we want this, we want this. I'm borderline on that. We don't need the example. So let's paste that in here. We don't need main. And we don't need these. Okay, so we got everything we need out of there. All right, let me close this, close this. Let me see if I can, so when I go back and watch some of these on something like my TV, I want something a little better in terms of visibility. So I was trying to use a different text editor, but I think, let me just see if just making the font bigger helps here. So editor, font. Let's go ahead and make this 14, 15. Yeah. Let's enable ligatures. Okay. All right, hopefully that's a little bit more readable. So let's look at this. So I really don't want this. And that means the thing that I was on the fence about, let's get rid of that. Okay. And we can, of course, get rid of this. All right. So let's start throwing in some documentation on stuff. And we're going to call this dependent. And what's its role? It manages the data used to store the injectable Okay. Register. Constructed type. Take. Oh, this is my multi-argument. So this registers factory functions that take multiple arguments. Yeah, that's fine. So register registers either a concrete type, a concrete value, e.g. an int, a type that serves as a for injecting and returns a constructed the dependency can be looked up. All right, so this is this allows me to have a constructor function where I can basically call a method that I've registered and pass it more than just the dependency manager. So let's say, for example, I want to pass some data I read from the environment or what have you. I'm not 100% sold on this functionality in this class. So, but I'm just gonna put a document on it for now, so people. So I describe what it is, and we can go back and make a decision as to whether or not it really belongs in here at all. Arguably doesn't. Because this doesn't really participate in dependency injection, it's really more of a constructor. Okay, so more importantly than the documentation, now that I at least got the documentation, so that let's go ahead and add this to so now that I've got the documentation, so I've kind of described what the things are, let's go ahead and start writing some tests. The reason, so a lot of times I write tests before I do what I'm going to do, and a lot of times in those cases I kind of know what I want already. So in that situation, writing a test makes a lot of sense because I know what the question is and I know what the answer I'm expecting, and so I can fill in a test fairly easily. When I was building the dependency injection stuff, the reason I didn't spend a lot of time writing tests is I wasn't sure about the question and the answer. So I knew I kind of wanted dependency injection, but I wasn't certain about all the features I wanted in it. So now that we kind of have a basic understanding of what we want, let's go ahead and start writing tests. Excuse me for the dog growling at what I assume is somebody delivering a package. But I only want to spend about another 5 minutes here anyway because I've got to get going for today. But let's go ahead and add reflex test. And now that I know what I want, I can, now that I know what the answer I expect or should get is, we can start building some tests around this. So test simple values. So we can actually, let's do this. Let's call this test dependency get instance. And we'll call this simple, what do I say? What do we want to call these? We want to call these, let's call this simple types. Atomic types? Atomic types? No. Simple types. Okay. So let's go ahead and DM all right. Then let's do this. Let's do so what do we want to do? We should do a short integer, so let's do a short int, and we'll call this will be an int 16. These are just numbers I'm picking out of a hat, basically, because I want to have something that's not likely to be some sort of weird in-memory variable. And we want to register short int. And if get instance and short int. Oh, forgot to cast it. Okay, expected short integer. And this is what I think we want as a pattern for the rest of these. Do I have a good way of doing this in a kind of loopy thing? I don't think so. And that's just an int. So let's just run this one for grins. Okay. So big int. So let's see. So we've done integers. Let's do string. Actually, I should do that right. That's what I want. What else do we want? We want float, short float. And long, or so regular. What else do we want? We want a rune. No, let's just do a capital A. Doesn't need to be fancy, Unicode, whatever. Okay. Var bool, some bool. What else do we want? So that covers. What does that leave out? I think that's it. Okay. Short. And rune. And finally some bool. All right, so we've registered all those. Now we've just got to copy and paste here. So we've got an int16, an int, then we've got big int, int64, and then we've got and short float. And this would be %s, and this would be %f. So this would be called a regular float, right? Yeah, regular float. And then after regular float, I think we had rune and bool. Okay. So this just kind of makes, whoops. Interesting, 55. Expected short integer, but got O. Oh, the text doesn't line up. Okay. All right, everything passes. So that's the basic types. So the next thing we want to test is pointers to things. But I think you get the picture. Now that I know what I want, I can go ahead and write tests for this, make sure I've got coverage, and be able to verify that my stuff actually does work. And once I've got that in place, I'll be able to start using this in my regular code so that when I'm pulling together the behavior for a layer, I've got it. Of course, there are some things that we could look at doing. So we've got some, let's do cache constructed. So let's say I go ask for a database connection. And that involves, well, let's say I've got a constructor function which connects me to the database pool of database connections, and I don't want to run it again. So I've got to have some way of caching constructed dependencies. So whether that's I register, whether I need to expand the register concept or whatever, but I need to have some way of saying, hey, don't reconnect to the database from scratch again. Just hand me back the last time you constructed this thing. So we want that definitely. Trying to think of what else we could want here. What else could we want? Oh, some way of getting a singleton or a service or go routine reference to a dependence. And for this, we start a go routine that encapsulates the reference So I'd have a channel where I say, get me this dependency, and I return back a dependency. or register this dependency, and it registered the dependency, but the dependency manager shared through a Go routine interface, so it's kind of more of a dependency service than it is just a thing that I have a singleton of or something like that. All right, well, again, I think that's going to be it for today. Yeah, I won't bore you with writing a whole bunch of tests. So, but yeah, that's the next step, is to make sure I have decent code coverage on this, so I can trust my code.